So the new Spongebob movie, Search for SquarePants, recently came out, and it's a very mixed bag in my opinion. While it does some things right, it also does other things not very right and pretty unoriginally. So let's just get into it. So the movie is about SpongeBob joining the Flying Dutchman's crew to go to the Underworld to prove to Mr. Krabs that he is a brave man instead of what Mr. Krabs calls a bubble-blowing baby boy, I think, which is very similar to the first movie, which is a recurring problem with this movie. I'm just gonna start by going through some negatives, but we are gonna get to the positives later, I promise. But we're gonna start with the story being very unoriginal. There's like a scene of SpongeBob and Patrick talking about SpongeBob getting taller. Like that's the thing for this movie. It's not that he's becoming a man, that comes later, but first it is that he has grown, so he's taller. And the scene of Patrick and SpongeBob talking about this just feels like a way worse version of them talking about becoming men in the first movie. Especially with the fact that there's like SpongeBob steps on plankton exactly how he does in the first movie. It's like after the first movie you'd think they learn not to underestimate SpongeBob and not treat him like a kid, but like I guess after like the fourth time they still haven't learned. SpongeBob getting taller so he can now finally ride this roller coaster is also very unoriginal, as the scene of him looking at the coaster is just straight ripped off from Roller Cowards. Like it's the exact same scene. SpongeBob sees a really scary roller coaster where people are dying and stuff while riding it, and then he can't tell Patrick that he's scared, like it's just Roller Cowards. Another negative is actually the Flying Dutchman himself, because I really don't like the recasting from Brian Doyle Murray to Mark Hamill.
I'm taking you to the Underworld.
It feels very unnecessary, and in my opinion at least, he sounds nothing like him. Like after the trailer I was already skeptical, but after watching the movie I was just like, I don't know, why? The beginning where we have Clancy Brown, who plays Mr. Krabs of course, being a pirate and narrating the story of the Dutchman, that's alright, but right after that the movie goes straight downhill with like probably the worst part of the movie, which is the SpongeBob morning sequence. The scene feels extremely lifeless. SpongeBob is talking like he don't want to be in this movie, and it feels like a watered down version of the morning scene from the first movie. And it gets even worse when Big Guy starts.
SpongeBob, big guy, pants okay. SpongeBob, big guy, pants okay.
Ice Spice making a song for SpongeBob was certainly one of the choices of all time. Her character in the movie is not too bad. She's just there for like one scene, and she's just there like a celebrity voicing a character, really sounding like she don't want to be there either, but that's kind of the point of the character, I guess, because she's bored. Okay, we're gonna go through like one last negative thing and then we're gonna do some positives. But I gotta talk about the jokes, because the jokes are really not funny in this movie. It's funny actually that the funniest joke, if you can call it a joke, like what I found the most funny in this movie is Patrick just telling SpongeBob that he spelled fortitude wrong. But even though that was like kinda funny, it's Patrick telling SpongeBob that the word is spelled wrong. Patrick telling SpongeBob how to spell a word. Patrick tells SpongeBob how a word is spelled. Flanderization went so far he ended up being smart, I guess. Mr. Krabs telling SpongeBob his backstory with the Flying Dutchman and the Underworld and all the monsters is really cool and one of my favorite scenes. And apparently this movie was supposed to be a Mr. Krabs focused film on streaming originally, which I would have preferred greatly. His backstory stuff in the movie, however, of course, retcons multiple different episodes, but that's whatever at this point. Maybe a movie with the whole plot centered on Krabs could have tied all the different backstories together, which I would really have liked to see, but I guess we'll never know. Another scene that's pretty cool is the scene in the Krusty Krab vents, and it's it leads SpongeBob down into the basement of the Krusty Krab, where SpongeBob finds Mr. Krabs' swashbuckler sanctum with all his old pirate stuff, which again would have been way cooler in the original concept probably. I'm kinda bummed out that this ended up being the movie. There's so much butt and underwear jokes in this movie. I know people like to bring up the Patrick Flag joke from the first movie, and the fact that the show has always done stuff like this, and while that is true, it has never been to this extent. It's like every few minutes there's a new one. It's just exhausting and very much not funny. There's way too much butts in this movie. And the Underworld, when they get there, is pretty cool, like we could already see in the trailers. It is, however, very similar to the trench from the first movie, making this like the fifth thing that they reused from that movie. Another thing being reused is, of course, the movie has the mandatory going to the surface plot points, which just feels so tired at this point. I don't get why every movie needs to do this going to the surface thing. The magic is so long gone. They was on land before the first movie even came out. It also manages to easily be the worst part of the movie, not counting the beginning. Just like how Sponge Out of Water's first half was way better than the second half where they go to land, they just never learn. This being the ending of the plot with the climax and everything makes it even worse. I think it drags down the movie quite a bit. I was actually surprised by how early they got to the Underworld in the film, and then it all made sense, cause of course they needed more time for Landslop at the end. The challenges, going back to the Underworld and like the actual good portion of the movie, the challenges that SpongeBob do down in the Underworld was cool, and I almost wished that most of it didn't take place as a montage. I could do with some other parts being cut down to spend more time on this. Like, honestly, either get rid of the land stuff or get rid of most of the SpongeBob is treated like a kid stuff and give us some more time for the challenges. The last one felt a bit lackluster to end on, even after a montage of the others. I just wanted to see the others, because there was like cool monsters and stuff. Because like all the monster scenes are at least cool. Like, I know I'm using the word cool a lot for this movie, but most of these scenes are just cool, and that's about it. There's nothing very funny in this movie, and the story is just very unoriginal for the show, and not very interesting in general. So this movie for me becomes a bit like the recent episode Go Fetch. Just some cool, good looking stuff. Although I do think Go Fetch looks better than the movie. All in all, it's not a bad SpongeBob movie, but it's not a great one either. It just ends up being an alright watch for me.